So Lilith in astrology. There's three kinds of Lilith in astrology. There's asteroid Lilith, dark moon Lilith, and black moon Lilith. We're going to be focusing on black moon Lilith, which is symbolized by that symbol. A little cross and then a moon on the top of it. Now, to start, Lilith is a spot in somebody's chart that represents something that is completely in the dark and in the shadow. In other words, Lilith is a being that you have no idea what she's going to do. Don't know what's going to go on with her. And it's in the unknown. Because Lilith is a mathematical point, or a shadow plane. It's not really there. It's just a mathematical point. Just like the north node, Rahu, and the south node, Ketu. Each one has its own role to play. The nodes are malefic, but Lilith is neither benefic or malefic. She only does what's best for her and for her concern only. And to a native, it's for themselves only. It's not really for a benefit of anybody else. Primarily it's a benefit for just the native, if that makes sense. It's a chaotic neutral. It does what it has to do for itself, by any means necessary for its best. That being said, what is Lilith? Well, you have to take a look at the stories regarding her. And we're not going to be just picking out nits and picks and just like put it in one standard of like the benefits or the negative. We're not going to do that. We're going to take it as it's supposed to be, which is the whole thing altogether. Because if you just take all the bad and just put it there and say, well, it's not good because it has this right here. No. Don't do that. That's a no-no. Lilith represents somebody's true power where it lies, and the sign in the house where it sits. It represents how they carry out acts of vengeance or seek revenge on those who unjustly harmed them or treated them inconsiderately. It's one's way of rebellion, how one rebels against or defies restriction or limitations. It also can be said about how one endures by trauma or survives trauma. It also represents on how one is able to seduce, entrance, captivate, or tantalize someone or seduce someone. It shows how they go about doing it. And also, depending on what house she sits in, depends on how those aspects carry out in that person's life. It all varies, because there are some combinations where Lilith, she can be very creative, and there are some sides where if you cross this native wrong where this Lilith is placed, and say if it's in Scorpio, which is a sign she somewhat can say rules, better be careful, because a Scorpio Lilith will not come at you at first, but when your back's turned, you least expect it. That's when it'll strike. And trust me, it hits. Lilith also represents how one may practice occult means, because Black Moon Lilith is in the dark. What's in the dark? Occult. Scorpio is the same thing over occult. The dark secrets. Lilith is the same way. Except Lilith, rather than actually like go up front like how Mars is, Lilith is more that Scorpio, just wait, and snap. But when it snaps and hits, it hits hard. that's part of, that can be said about how someone takes out vengeance. But there are some signs where Lilith is really comfortable. Like an example, a good exaltation point for her is Aries. But when you have an entity that all it wants to do is just allow to be herself and do as she pleases and flow, when you give it Aries, the sign of initiative and youthfulness, and just taking action, the Lilith thrives off that. She has nothing holding her back. She can go where she pleases. She can flaunt what she pleases. She can do what she likes to do and wants to do. And that's the point with Lilith. Lilith wants to do what she pleases. When she's in that extremely high dignity of being like, okay, go for it, girl, she goes crazy. But not in a malefic way. When it comes to like other planets with her, she's, again, very neutral. She kind of is that planet that doesn't really give a crap who she's around. However, she does not do good when close around Jupiter. Why Jupiter? Well, Jupiter is the planet that is the guru, the preacher, the prophet, the one who teaches the higher wisdom, and also the one that also is like the medium source where the divine comes through, and also where religion is. And with the nodes Rahu and Ketu, he's able to control them because they're deemed malefic. But because due to how society is towards Lilith, Jupiter can be said that is trying to suppress Lilith and try and like exorcise her. Lilith is not fond of that. In fact, she's more along the lines of, really, dude? You think because you are wearing robes and you're telling me it's a sin for me to explore this world and do as I please if I'm not hurting someone? You're calling what I do as sin and bad? Too bad. That's why Lilith really wouldn't do so well around Jupiter. Lilith also is kind of not really that fond of Saturn, despite also his rebellious nature. So she's somewhat neutral. Uranus, she's, again, almost all these planets she's kind of with. She's friendly, though, however, towards Pluto. Because Pluto, but as I like to call it, because Pluto completely just is a very transformative planet. And the way that I like to describe Pluto is that Pluto, wherever he's at, he thinks he becomes so good at it, and he carries that placement where he's at so overkill that he has potential to break it, and then he has to fix it in a different way. And Lilith, in a way, is kind of fond of that. She likes it when somebody is able to go all the way through with something they want to do and not be held back. Experience it all the way that you can, and if it breaks, oh well, it breaks. Let's make something new out of it. And also she's, other than that, very neutral. If she comes into contact with like Rahu and Ketu, well, with Rahu's like the north node. Rahu's like the Pac-Man that keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. It doesn't stop. And Lilith is just like, oh. It's kind of, think of, in a way, Lilith as like a very, like if you put Mars and Venus together, except with a very sassy, rebellious, I'm doing what I want mindset. And also, if she comes anywhere near Ketu, she's kind of confused. And she can't be overtaken. Because Lilith is an entity you cannot summon. You cannot make her do anything. And if you put Ketu, or the South Node, where you're kind of meh about, and you're kind of just wanting to detach from it, you put Lilith with it, it's not going to work. You can't detach from doing what you want to do. Because if you detach from not wanting to do anything, you're doing something. See how it clashes? That's why Lilith, as an entity and as a whole, with her, she can't really be then negatively influenced. But now say, if she's conjunct Sun, and Sun is brightening her up, while her placement and the whatnot is going to be more noticeable. But now if you say if Lilith is like tightly conjunct with Sun, she's not gonna get negatively affected by it because she's in a way possessing the Sun, just like how Rahu and Ketu do. They possess a planet when they get like point blank on it. With Lilith, yeah, it possesses, but it doesn't possess it in a way that's destructive towards the native. But the native has to be able to understand that. And Lilith's mathematical point can only be calculated by the moon's farthest point from the Earth. Its orbit, the farthest point, that is the Lilith point. Other than that, that's kind of like the basic foundation regarding Lilith in the astrology for, not the asteroid, in the... This is why I get these two confused. It's either the dark moon and the black moon, but not the asteroid, but the one that is like the one that's most commonly used. The one that's right there under my finger. That's like the basic level, at least for me, because Lilith is an entity that is in the dark. Nobody really knows about her. Nobody knows what she's going to do. Nobody knows what her motive is. She's just that entity of mystery. So, this is just a very brief introduction, and then next I'll be going into like the house placements, the sign placements, and then say how if she gets conjunct with a planet and the whatnot. So stay tuned for that, and I mean this series is going to be a little bit weird, but it also comical at the same time. And I believe we're going to start first with the signs, and then we're going to move over to the houses, and after the houses we'll get really crazy by saying, well, what happens when we have Lilith conjunct Jupiter and Rahu? Oh boy, that's going to be quite the crazy thing. So I'll see you guys on that long one.